The internet didn't just react, it erupted. What started as whispers in private circles has now exploded into one of the most shocking, jaw-dropping celebrity scandals anyone has seen in years. And at the center of it all are two names nobody ever expected to collide like this: Iman Shumpert and Teyana. Because late last night, something surfaced that insiders are calling career-altering. Not rumors. Not speculation. A leak, one so personal, so explosive, that within minutes it had fans scrambling, blogs crashing, and social media spiraling into complete chaos. At first, people didn't believe it. They couldn't. But then the screenshots started appearing. Cryptic messages. Strange timestamps. Conversations that hinted at a hidden life nobody saw coming. And just when the internet thought it had pieced together the story, a second wave hit. Clips. Audio. Allegations that went far beyond cheating, far beyond drama. This was something deeper. Something that, if true, could completely rewrite everything fans thought they knew about their relationship. And the most shocking part. Sources are now claiming this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate. Because behind the scenes, tensions had been building for months, arguments, trust issues, secrets that refused to stay buried. And now, with everything spilling out into the open, one question is dominating every timeline: who exposed who, and why now? Because if this really is what insiders are hinting at, then this isn't just a scandal. It's a full-blown public takedown. The moment those first screenshots hit, everything started unraveling at a speed nobody could control. Within minutes, timelines were flooded, group chats were exploding, and the names Iman Shumpert and Teyana were dominating every trending list across the internet. But what the public saw at first, that was only the surface. Because behind the scenes, insiders say this situation had been building for months. Quiet tension, private arguments, and a level of distrust that had already pushed things to the edge. One source claims there were multiple confrontations leading up to this moment, each one more intense than the last. And then, something snapped. According to a close insider, the leak didn't just appear randomly. It was preceded by a heated exchange, one that allegedly took place just hours before everything went public. Messages were sent. Calls were ignored. And at some point, a line was crossed that couldn't be undone. That's when the first receipt dropped. A blurry screenshot, barely readable at first, but enough to spark questions. It showed a conversation, allegedly between Shumpert and an unidentified contact, filled with coded language and suggestive phrases that didn't match the public image fans had known for years. People were confused. Some called it fake. Others started digging. And the more they dug, the worse it got. Because soon after, clearer screenshots surfaced. Same conversation. Same tone. But this time, there was no denying the pattern. The messages hinted at secret meetings, hidden arrangements, and a side of his life that had never been seen before. One message, in particular, set everything off: make sure nobody finds out. I can't risk everything. That line alone sent fans into a frenzy. What was he hiding? Who was he talking to? And why did it sound like there was so much at stake? But just as people were trying to process those questions, a second leak dropped. Audio. Short. Raw. Unfiltered. A voice, believed by many to be Shumpert, speaking in a low, controlled tone. Not angry. Not emotional. Just careful. Measured. As if every word mattered. I told you how this works. No names. No traces. That clip spread like wildfire. Within minutes, hashtags exploded. Fan pages turned into investigative hubs. People were comparing voice samples, analyzing speech patterns, even pulling up old interviews to match tones. And then came the twist nobody expected. Because while all of this was happening, Teyana Taylor went completely silent. No posts. No reactions. Nothing. At first, people thought she was staying out of it. But insiders say that silence wasn't calm. It was controlled. According to one source, she had known about this side of his life for a long time. That it wasn't new. That it had been a source of tension behind closed doors for months, maybe even years. And if that's true, then this leak wasn't just exposure. It was the result of something much deeper. Something personal. Something that had finally reached a breaking point. Because just when it seemed like things couldn't escalate any further, a third piece of evidence surfaced. This time, it wasn't just messages or audio. It was a claim. A bold, explosive claim from a burner account that appeared out of nowhere. The account alleged that there was actual footage, private footage, that had been circulating in select circles long before any of this went public. No proof was posted. No clips were shared. But the claim alone was enough to send the internet into complete chaos. Because if that was true, then everything changed. Fans started connecting dots. Old rumors resurfaced. Past interviews were reanalyzed. Even random paparazzi photos from months ago were being treated like potential clues. And then, just as the speculation reached its peak, Teyana moved. A single post. No context. No explanation. Just one line: I stayed quiet out of respect. Don't push me. That was it. But it hit harder than anything else. Because suddenly, the narrative shifted. This wasn't just about what was leaked. It was about who had been holding back, and why. And according to insiders, that post wasn't just a warning. It was a signal. Because behind the scenes, things were already in motion. More messages. More receipts. More information that hadn't been released yet, but was ready. And the most chilling part. There are whispers that what's already out is only a fraction of what exists. That there are files, real files, being held back. And that if they come out, there will be no coming back from it. But here's where everything takes a darker turn. Because just minutes after that post went live, something unexpected happened. Something that has people asking a question nobody can answer right now. Did someone just try to shut this down before it went any further? The timing didn't just feel off, it felt calculated. Because minutes after that cryptic warning from Teyana Taylor hit the internet, something strange happened that instantly raised alarms across every platform watching this unfold. Posts started disappearing. Not just random ones, specific ones. The screenshots that had gone viral. Gone. The audio clip people were dissecting. Suddenly harder to find. Even fan pages that had been aggressively reposting everything went quiet without explanation. And that's when the whispers started. Someone's cleaning this up. At first, it sounded like a conspiracy theory. But then insiders began speaking out, quietly, anonymously, claiming that there were active efforts happening behind the scenes to contain the situation before it spiraled even further out of control. Because by this point, it wasn't just trending. It was everywhere. And at the center of it all, Iman Shumpert was reportedly in full damage control mode. Sources say phones were blowing up non-stop. Advisors, close friends, industry contacts, everyone scrambling to figure out what was real, what could be proven, and what could still be stopped before it crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. But here's the problem. It was already too late. Because just as people thought things were being pulled back, a new leak dropped that made everything before it look small. A thread. Long, detailed, and terrifyingly specific. Posted from an account that had never been seen before, the thread claimed to outline a timeline, dates, locations, and alleged encounters that painted a picture far more complicated than anyone had imagined. According to the thread, this wasn't recent. This had been going on quietly, carefully, for a long time. There were mentions of private bookings under different names. Late-night arrivals at locations that didn't match public schedules. Even references to specific trips where, according to the post, things were hidden in plain sight. No proof was attached. But the level of detail. It had people shaken. Because either it was completely fabricated, or it came from someone who knew far too much. And then, buried deep in that thread, was a line that changed everything. She has more than messages. She has everything. Everything. That word alone sent shockwaves through the internet. Because suddenly, the rumors about recordings, about footage, about hidden files, didn't feel so far-fetched anymore. And just when people were trying to process that, Teyana Taylor spoke again. But not how anyone expected. No post. No tweet. A leak. A private message, allegedly from her, shared by a third party. The message was short, but it hit like a bomb. I didn't want it to go this far. But he kept pushing. That was it. No names. No direct confirmation. But the implication. Impossible to ignore. Because now, the narrative had shifted again. This wasn't just exposure anymore. It was escalation. And according to insiders, that message wasn't supposed to be public. It was shared in confidence, meaning someone, somewhere, decided to break that trust and push things even further into the spotlight. Which raises another question. Who else is involved in this? Because by now, it's clear this isn't just between two people. There are leaks coming from multiple directions. Information surfacing from different sources. Pieces of a story that don't fully connect, but feel like they're all pointing to something bigger. Something coordinated. Or something completely out of control. And then came the moment that pushed everything to the edge. A call. Not confirmed. Not recorded publicly. But described in detail by someone who claims to have heard it firsthand. According to this insider, the call between Shumpert and someone close to the situation turned into a full-blown meltdown. Voices raised. Accusations thrown. Emotions spilling over in a way that made it clear, this wasn't just about reputation anymore. It was personal. Deeply personal. At one point, the source claims, a line was said that has since been repeated across multiple platforms. You're not the only one with something to lose. That single sentence changed the tone of everything. Because now, it wasn't just about what had already been leaked. It was about what could still come out. And who might be holding it. Meanwhile, fans were completely divided. Some were defending Shumpert, arguing that no one deserves to have their private life dragged into public like this. Others were siding with Teyana, saying she had every right to speak after staying silent for so long. And in the middle of it all, silence from him. No statement. No denial. No response. And that silence, it's only making things worse. Because every minute that passes without a response, the speculation grows louder. The theories get wilder. The story gets bigger. And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any more intense, another piece of information started circulating late last night. A claim that has insiders genuinely shaken. Because according to multiple sources, there may be a file, one file, that hasn't been leaked yet. A file that, if it ever sees the light of day, could end this entire situation in one move. But what's in it? And who has it? That's the question nobody can answer. At least, not yet. Because as of this morning, something new has surfaced. Something that might finally reveal who's really been pulling the strings behind all of this. That new development didn't just add fuel to the fire, it blew the entire situation wide open. Because early this morning, a name started circulating, quietly at first, then louder, then everywhere. Not a random fan. Not a gossip page. Someone with alleged direct access to everything that's been happening behind the scenes. And according to this source, none of this was supposed to happen like this. They claim there was a plan. Not to leak everything, but to control the narrative. To release small pieces. Carefully. Strategically. Enough to send a message, but not enough to completely destroy everything. But something went wrong. Because instead of controlled damage, it turned into a full-blown explosion. Multiple leaks. Different sources. Information coming out from angles nobody could track. And now, according to this insider, even the people involved don't know what's coming next. Which explains the chaos. Because while the internet has been tearing itself apart trying to piece this together, behind closed doors, things have reportedly reached a level of tension that's impossible to contain. And at the center of it all, Iman Shumpert is said to be dealing with the fallout in real time. Sources describe it as a complete breakdown of control. Calls going unanswered. Meetings ending without resolution. People walking away from conversations, because there's no clear path forward anymore. Because here's the reality no one wants to say out loud, this isn't slowing down. It's accelerating. And just when it seemed like the leaks couldn't get any more damaging, the most shocking twist of all dropped. A new clip. Not long. Not clear. But enough. Unlike the earlier audio, this one allegedly includes more than just two voices. There's a third presence, faint, but noticeable. Someone else in the room. Someone who wasn't supposed to be part of this narrative. And the moment people realized that, everything changed again. Because now the question isn't just what happened. It's who else knew. Who else was there? Who else might be pulled into this as more information comes out? And according to the same insider, that third voice could be the key to everything. They claim that person has knowledge, real knowledge, about the timeline, the secrets, and the events that led to this explosion. If they speak, this situation doesn't just get worse. It becomes uncontrollable. Meanwhile, Teyana Taylor has gone completely silent again. No posts. No reactions. But insiders say that silence isn't weakness. It's strategy. Because behind the scenes, things are moving fast. There are talks, serious talks, about taking this beyond social media. Beyond leaks and rumors. Into something permanent. Documented. Structured. A full account of everything that's happened. Some are calling it a potential interview. Others say it could be something bigger. A project that lays out the entire story from start to finish, with details nobody has heard yet. And if that happens, there will be no room left for denial. No space left for speculation. Just the truth, or at least, a version of it that will dominate headlines for months. But here's the part that has insiders genuinely nervous. Because according to one final leak that surfaced just hours ago, that unreleased file everyone's been talking about, it might already be in someone else's hands. Not hers. Not his. Someone else. A third party who now has access to something that could shift the entire narrative in one move. No one knows who. No one knows how. But if that file gets out, there won't be any coming back from this. And as of right now, neither Iman Shumpert nor Teyana Taylor has stepped forward to shut any of this down completely. No clear denials. No solid confirmations. Just fragments. Leaks. Silence. And a story that keeps getting bigger by the hour. Because this was never just about one moment. It was about everything leading up to it. Everything hidden. Everything unsaid. Everything that's now starting to surface piece by piece. And the most unsettling part. We're still not at the end. Not even close. Because if the next leak is as big as insiders are warning, this entire situation could flip in a way nobody is ready for. If you've been following this story from the beginning, then you already know, this isn't just gossip anymore. This is one of those moments that completely takes over the internet, the kind people talk about for months, even years. And the truth is, we're still in the middle of it. Because with every hour, something new is surfacing. Another leak. Another clue. Another twist that changes everything you thought you understood. And the scariest part. The biggest reveal might still be waiting to drop. So don't make the mistake of thinking you've seen it all, because you haven't. If that hidden file really exists, if that third voice finally speaks, if one of them decides to break their silence for real, this entire situation could explode in a way nobody can control. That's why you need to stay locked in right here. Hit that like button right now so the story keeps getting pushed out, because more people need to see what's really unfolding. Drop your opinion in the comments. Who do you believe? Do you think this was exposure, or something deeper? And most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because when the next piece of this story drops, and trust me, it will, you do not want to be the last one finding out. Stay ready. This isn't